some dignitaries would come from Krishnagar, and so one morning we saw some blinking, police car lights coming, and we said, oh, some hotshots coming out, to visit. And it turned out to be the Indian secret police. And at that time, the Bangladesh war was going on, and they came into our property, and they got out of the cars, and they said, we've come to arrest Americans for being spies, CIA agents. And so at that time there was only two, myself and Jayapataka. And so they said, we'll take one of you, because they didn't know what they were doing either. They said, we'll take one of you, and if we can prove that you're a spy, we'll come and arrest the others later. And so I said, okay, Jayapataka, he's more important to the Mayapur project than me. So I said, take me. And so they put me in shackles and drove me to Krishnagar, and then again transported me from there to Calcutta. And in Calcutta, the U.S. Embassy was notified that they'd arrested a spy, and they sent someone to act as my legal aid. And we'd gone to court several times, and eventually they proved that I wasn't a spy. But in that interim, my visa had expired. And so the government of India wanted to save face, so they sentenced me to 6 months in prison. And the prison was very, I had like a 10-foot by 8-foot room with no toilet, nothing, just a cement floor, and I had to stay in there. And finally, when when I was released, Srila Prabhupada, had, he called me into his room. He had heard about this, and he was in Bombay when I was arrested, but then he was on his way to outside of the country. But then when he returned, I got released, and then he called me into his room, and he said, first he said, how are you? How are you? And I said, I'm okay, Srila Prabhupada. And he says, do you want to go back to America? So I said, no, Srila Prabhupada, I want to go back to Mayapur and do my service. And then he said, oh, that's very good. And then he began to, tell me the story. He said, there was once a little boy, and this boy had a terrible father who, in so many ways, became envious of him because he was a devotee of Krishna. And he tried in so many ways to torture him and to change his way of behaving. And, and then I realized he's talking about Prahlad Maharaj. And then he says, yes, the devotees of Krishna, they are willing to go to hell. To know that even though he's not present, he's still thinking of his devotees, wherever they are in the world. Because, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, at that time, he mentions that his disciples are being arrested. He doesn't use my name, but the circumstances are, because of the time that he was, he could have been in Australia or wherever he was, in the middle of the night, doing his translations, having concern for his, his disciples, and so.